Hey guys, Connell here with another video. Today we're going to talk about Guardian raids. It's just going to be some tips and tricks that I found out in order to help you guys kind of take down the bosses and what they expect when you get in there. So the first thing I want to mention is a good way to kind of take these Guardian raids is have the mentality of looking at them like a Dark Souls boss. Each boss will have its own kind of like attack patterns, and the way to kind of do damage optimally is to kind of study the attack patterns so that you know when the best time to go in, as well as pop all your cooldowns, especially if you're like me who's playing a soul fist and requires quite a few seconds to charge up my soul bomb and then use that on the boss. Can't be using that in the boss if the boss is going to do a charge ability. So it's really important to kind of understand how the bosses work, as well as how the way that they're going to be attacking. So one thing I want to bring up is when you do get into the raids, each boss has like unique interactions that can make the fight a lot easier. The first kind of one that I noticed was in this boss, the boss Nagrasena. So the tail that Nagrasena uses, it kind of goes into the ground and then charges an electricity ability. Thing is, you can break off that tail. Once you break off that tail, the boss fight becomes way easier. It's actually insane how easy the boss fight then becomes after you break off that tail, because you remove like half the boss's movesets. Now to break off that tail, you need something like these destruction bombs. Destruction bombs you will use when the boss puts its tail on the ground to start the electricity, and then as long as all the party are focusing on the tail, it should break. You also get an achievement for it as well. I won't go over every single boss's interaction because I haven't been through every single boss yet, but I'll just talk a little bit about another one that I know of Chromanium. So the shell on Chromanium's back has a cannon. You can break that shell, which means you break the cannon as well. So it's really important to look out for these kinds of things when you are doing the Guardian raid. So that's the first thing I wanted to touch up on. The next thing is you can actually buff yourself with a foot buff before you go in. That's kind of like if you want that extra bit of damage. It's not completely necessary, and I know it does cost gold to do, but it's just another useful thing to have. One of the most important things that not a lot of players know, and I got a lot of flack for it at the start, is you can walk the whole way back to the start of the raid and refill your potions. So say for example you've used all your potions and you need to go back, and you'd rather go back and get the potions than die and use up a life. Just walk the whole way back to the start, and when you go into the golden ring, it will refill your potions. Now another thing is, when you go into the golden ring and refill your potions, just quickly spam one if you're low HP, and then go out and then back into it again, so it tops it up to the full amount and you get a heal out of it as well. Next, the items that you want to bring are all dependent on the boss fight. Usually a good kind of like baseline to have are like whirlwind grenades for a high stagger, destruction bombs for, as I mentioned, being able to break parts of the bosses and make the fights way easier. Health potions, of course. Your F1 potions will not work in this raid, so make sure to bring the major HP potions. I know they're kind of like expensive, but you should have a lot from the starter kits and stuff, and that recovers 45% HP. And then the most important thing is flares. So flares will let you know at the very start of the dungeon when you use it where the boss is going to be, as well as the boss will move at different phases. And what's useful about those is basically by using a flare, you're saving yourself a lot of time. Usually at the start of these Guardian raids, I see a lot of players just kind of splitting up and going towards the boss. And yeah, that's great because you get to find out where the boss is. But you use a lot of time just getting to the boss in the first place, when you could just pop a flare and then you can use a rotation of flares if you kind of want and you're with the people and you're coordinating. So that's another important item. One other item that I would like to kind of like add is, let's see, here we go, the Panacea. That's really useful on fights like Flame Fox Yoho. Flame Fox Yoho will put a dot on you that stacks. The dot is great because it gives you extra damage, but having too many stacks means that you're going to die. So, instead of like, say for example, a Destruction Bomb or a Whirlwind Bomb, I would take, or a Whirlwind Grenade, sorry, I would take in one of those in that fight, mainly so I can clear my stacks if they get too high. And it also saves you a lot of like stress during that fight when you're able to remove kind of a core mechanic via the debuff. After that, one important thing that I want to mention, and this seems to be lost in some players that kind of rush the end game, and I want to bring this to everybody's attention now, is the two different ways they enter these. And the reason I'm bringing this up is the attitudes change, or should change, depending on what you do and how you enter this. So if you go matchmaking, you're being placed with random players. Now, given the queue times in EU the last week and a half since the game's launched, maybe players have just got to their first Guardian raid, or it might be the first time doing a specific boss. So if they're at matchmaking, do not, by any means, become toxic to other players that are learning for the first time. It happened to me the other day. I was doing Flame Fox Yoho for the first time, and I ran back to the start to refill my potions. Now, these two players didn't know that you could walk back to the start to get the potions, so they proceeded to flame me thinking I was going AFK or leaving the raid. One thing to expect in matchmaking, as I said, is it's going to be random. You're going to be put with players that may not have done the boss fight before, so don't expect a one-shot. If you want a one-shot, or you want people that know the fight, what you want to do is you want to press Find Party, and you want to set up your own lobby. Because that way you can kind of vet people before they go into the raid, and it makes it easier for yourself if you want that kind of gameplay. So if you're going into matchmaking, don't expect a one-shot, and don't give people shit either. Next, the rest bonus. So as you can see in the top of the screen, you'll get a rest bonus. Now I'm just going to explain how this works in order to kind of give some clarity. Say for example I killed one boss today, I left one of these up, that would give me 10 to the rest bonus. Now you need 20 in order to get the full rest bonus benefit, and what that means is you would have to do 2 days of only killing only one guardian. Now what does the rest bonus do? Well, the rest bonus will give you an extra Guardian Soul to harvest at the end of the raid. So instead of one Guardian Soul, you will have two, as long as your rest bonus is at 20 or more. So that's useful to know because it's not really clarified anywhere and stuff like that there. So that kind of is just a quick guide on some of the tips and tricks I've found out. If I find any more, I will update and add to the video. I'm going to be posting a few more videos over time. I might record my gameplay in order to kind of check out or even show you some of the destruction mechanics. But hopefully some of you guys find this helpful. If you did find it helpful and you do like the videos, keep an eye out for more, and the best way to keep an eye out is by liking the video and subscribing so that you know when my next one's coming out. And again guys, I just hope you enjoy the game and kill them bosses. Alright?